My name is Anne Berry, married name Cook, and I am the great aunt of the present managing director of English Lakes Hotels and the Lowood, Ben Berry, and the sister of Michael Berry, who worked so hard and got an OBE for his efforts to make the Lowood and the other hotels part of the scene in the Lake District. That's my connection. And my uncle, Norman Buckley, world water speed record breaker on Lake Windermere, he bought the hotel. It said that Norman bought the Lowood to keep his wife busy. And he was married to an extraordinary lady called Betty Buckley. She was in charge of running and she could work. She was terrific. It so happened that I was a student and I had the summer vacation. So for 4 weeks, I went up to work there, very hard actually, and I enjoyed it very much. But I was actually present just before the Lowood opened. Now, I have the typescripts that I've made of my grandfather's diaries. Now, that was Norman Buckley's father, and he writes in his diary that he went to the Lowood. Now, that must have been when Norman was considering it, otherwise, why would he go? And it's there somewhere in black and white, and it says, went to the Lowood for lunch. Quite nice place, poor food and poor service. So that was, then the next mention of the Lowood is Norman buys Lowood. The Lowood was bought by Norman, I believe, for £15,000. Today, you wouldn't get much of a car for £15,000, would you? It was to open at Easter. Now, for quite a number of years, Lowood only did open at Easter, and it would be closed through the winter. I mean, quite some years later, that was so. And it was a bit of a gamble to keep open all the year round. And when you think now of all the events and the conferences and the way hospitality has changed so terrifically. However, this dump of a place, poor food, poor service, had to be made to go. And Betty she'd been in housekeeping, I believe, before, and here she was running it. Now, at the time, there were about 30 bedrooms, and she made on this machine, this tiny woman, she was a very, very small woman, curtains and bed covers, whiz, to brighten the rooms up because the look of the place was awful. Now, I was 20 that summer, and I had got my first serious boyfriend because I had no time for boys until I fell in love. So with the new love, we were youth hosteling up Keswick, and we climbed up Tenleth over the fells, dropped down, thumbed a lift, and dropped off at Lowood, went in to the bar where they were. And the next morning, we went to the hotel, and that was the day before the opening. So we helped in the morning as a thank you for our hospitality, and the boyfriend cleaned inside and out all the windows of the long lounge, still there, gleaming windows in this tatty place. And I scrubbed the public loos out with a bucket and cloth. And I remember the dingy black and white lino, crumbling at the edges and scrubbing it out. And thinking, oh God. And we did, that was our bit, and it was to open the next day. And then in the summer, in the month of August, I guess, I went to work there for a month. So I used to be up early, walking at 7:30, walking along that road by the Langdale Chase, in and into the kitchen for 7:45. And I think they must have been doing mostly bed and breakfast in those days. And I would go straight to the kitchen, to the back end of the kitchen where I was on the toasting machine. And in those days, it was a horrendous rack that went up about 4 feet high. And you put the toast in and watched it all and put it down. I had perpetually burnt finger knuckles. And there was that to do. Then big sinks full of washing up, huge sinks. And it was hard work. Then we probably had breakfast when the service was finished. And there was a room, it's still there. Now that great staircase, before you approach the W restaurant, there's the great staircase going up. Well, that was all built with the conference centre. This was just a corridor now to go. And there was this room here, no windows, but we had jolly good meals. And there was few of us staff, really. I can't think there were more than 10 people working there. I can't imagine. I mean, there were 3 or 4 in the kitchens. Then I'd finish, we'd have breakfast. Then I'd go upstairs to work with Nora. And I think only the first floor was in action for rooms. I don't think they got the upper floor open. One of the really rubbish jobs was there were no en-suite bathrooms. So there were bathrooms here along the corridor where you bath and basin and loo. And maybe you had a hand basin in your bedroom if you were lucky. But not so. Chamber pots. Now, most people didn't use them, and Nora was very good, and well, I'll do it, she'd say. But when she had her day off, I'd have to do it, and we used to get fed up about that. So, of course, you were called chambermaids in those days. I don't remember many other people working there. There must have been other cleaners, but I don't remember anybody else. It was a small staff. There was a man doing upkeep, painting and decorating and stuff. That was ongoing to try and make the place look less seedy and shabby. And I remember coaches, and they would arrive with a lot of Americans, so far from the luxury coach-driven holidays that we've all seen, and they would get out, these poor people, lug their cases themselves in, and look a bit beaten and defeated. And I would have to change into my smart black sweater and my black skirt to serve coffee after their meal, to try and give the place an air of being a bit smart, But where else was there to go? The Prince of Wales at Grasmere was another big hotel up the road. But there really weren't the provision, there wasn't the provision of good places to stay. So those were the things. And every evening we seemed to be in the bar, and there was music. Arthur Henderson played the banjo guitar. Betty Buckley played mandolin or something, and we used to sing and be it was terribly jolly, but that was it. So it's this threadbare but very cheerful working environment. It's been interesting to watch the Lowwoods development, the great spa thing and that swimming. That was terrific. When I was there, you went in through the front door, and just on the left, absolutely on the left, the archway, was into the office. That was reception, just there. So all the back and then all these rooms, there was a billiard table, but none of the extra work had been done. And it was kind of dark and gloomy, but that marvellous lounge room was always there. I mean, it is a great resort hotel now. Building the conference centre, that was a huge difference because that was a very well built development. The big dining room, the W, was doubled in size. It certainly, as an area, it's been terrific. And then the offices were all built up, the staff houses. And I've not stayed in the new build, the Winanda, but both my children have. And they love it, you know. I think that's a gorgeous rebuild. So I think they've done terribly well. What hasn't changed about the Lowood is its position, commanding position on the lake. The marina has been added, which is lovely to see the boats and their masts swaying. That was new from the old days. The cannon on the end of the pier, that's new from the old days. But the view across is magnificent. And you will never pull that. The hills behind, where you can walk up and over the top up to Troutbeck, it's a glorious position. And I think that it's been developed, in most of it, wonderfully. And I'd thoroughly approve.